Alright, so it's been a couple days since I've made a video. Today's talk is about the Vancouver Canucks and their need for a second line center. And you can see from the thumbnail that the player we'll be highlighting is Mason McTavish. But before we get to that, let me catch you up on everything the Vancouver Canucks have done real quick ever since the Evander Kane trade. Starting off with the draft, the Vancouver Canucks surprisingly ended up actually making their 15th overall pick, which I'm actually very happy about. And with that pick, they selected Braeden Cootes, captain of the Seattle Thunderbirds. I really like the pick, good leader, compete levels high. A lot of speed and skill. He'll be a stud down the line for the Vancouver Canucks. They also selected a goalie, Medvedev, in the second round. He plays on the London Knights of the OHL. He's one of the youngest players in the draft, so he had a lot of potential. If he's getting taken in the second round, he was ranked around the 50 range this year, and he was 5 days away from being in the 2026 draft. He was probably going to be a first-round pick in next year's draft, so I like the value of that, but it almost confirms that Artur Shilovs is probably on his way out. With what I wanted to talk about next, the extensions. The Canucks extended two of their current players, Conor Garland, to a 6x6 deal. When that contract kicks in and when the cap increases, he'll be taking up the same percentage of cap, so it's a pretty fair deal. And more notably, Thatcher Demko signs for 8.5 times 3 years. He said he wanted to be a Canuck, he wanted to be here for 20 years if he could. And you know what? I'm really happy about this. First of all, the fact that he wants to be here, and second of all, when Demko is healthy, he's a top 5, if not a top 3 goaltender in the National Hockey League. No doubt in my mind. And I'm sure that after everything that went on last year, he's going to want to prove a lot of people wrong. So the Canucks are banking on Demko being healthy. Big if, but if it does end up happening, it'll look like a very good deal. Finally, and most surprising, free agency. Everyone thought that Brock Boeser was gone out the door, but 30 minutes into it, he re-signed, 7 years, 7.25. Everyone thought he was going to get north of $9 million, so this is an absolute steal. I love Brock Boeser, he's a great player, and honestly, I'm happy that he's staying because, let's be honest here, that's a big hole you would have had to fill, not just because he can score 30 goals, but because he's a big part of that dressing room. All the guys love him, and this would have felt like Tanev 2.0 if he left. And who are you going to replace him with if you actually end up losing him? You're going to have to give up more assets to get someone that probably isn't as good, and then you're in an even bigger hole. But I'm glad he's staying, the vibes are high, and suddenly, we thought that Evander Kane was the best replacement. Now we have Kane and Boeser, and the team isn't looking all too bad. There is a hole there at the second line center position, and obviously you're banking on Elias Pettersson, hopefully bouncing back. But I wanted to talk about one player that, you know, it might be a bit of a pipe dream, but if you can somehow land him, if he is available, man, this would be just a home run. Mason McTavish. You're probably wondering, why would Mason McTavish be available? He's 22 years old, he's a good, skilled power forward that can score, already has a 50-point season under his belt. But apparently, there have been reports that Mason McTavish is unhappy with a potential diminished role after the Ducks went out and signed themselves Mikael Granlund and a ton of other veterans that are probably going to be playing in front of McTavish. Not to mention Leo Carlsson probably taking a step. They're probably going to want Beckett Seneca to get some game time, and he's also a center. They also drafted Roger McLean, another center, and I know he's a little bit further down the line, but that's like 4 highly skilled young centers that I just listed. Where does McTavish fit in that fold is probably what he's wondering. They haven't settled on a contract yet. He's an RFA, so the negotiation process is ongoing and they're a little bit off the mark. We've seen Ducks general manager Verbeek make a couple of questionable decisions, such as getting rid of Trevor Zegras off of their roster for a second and a 4th round pick. Not exactly sure why they did that because, I mean, that's a 9th overall pick from 2019. Ton of untapped potential there. So I guess you never know. If I'm being honest, the Ducks will probably sign Mason McTavish and we're probably not going to get him. But if we're talking about a dream target for this Vancouver Canucks center core and what they need right now, I think that Mason McTavish is perfect. And if he does become available, and there have been reports of that being a possibility, man, you got to be all over that. I don't know what you give up. Let me know in the comments what you'd be willing to part ways with to acquire a guy like Mason McTavish, but I think that it's a no-brainer. We'll see how it all unfolds. But yeah, we're officially in the depths of the offseason, past free agency, so the news is going to be pretty slow. I do, however, have some pretty interesting ideas for summer videos that I want to make in regards to the NHL and hockey, so stay on the lookout for that. They're going to be different to the types of videos that you're used to seeing me put out, but trust me, they will be good. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure you buy Midday Squares with the link in my description for 15% off your final order. Peace out, and take care.